Listen, one of the greatest moments in the journey through life is that instant just before something immense breaks open. A promise long waited for, a blessing long hoped for, a break through long expected. In that space just before the colossal gift arrives, there are unmistakable signs. 7 markers carved into the soul itself, flashing like lightning across a dark sky. When these appear, know without doubt, something big is about to be given. Notice, understand, prepare. First, there is the sense of deep dissatisfaction with comfort. All that once seemed enough begins to choke. The well-known ways in life no longer satisfy. Familiarity feels like chains. Routines once palatable taste bitter. God brings that restlessness, that holy discomfort, because what lies ahead demands more than what now suffices. Complacency must be broken. The soil of the heart must be stirred. That sense of dissatisfaction is not punishment. It is preparation. Without that agitation, the soul settles into shallow water, never plunging into the deep places where God works. Second, there comes a period of intense waiting. No light at the end of the tunnel yet. Just waiting. Seasons stretch, delays manifest, doors remain closed, but in that waiting, growth takes place, hidden growth, muscles strengthen, patience is forged. Character is hammered, faith refined, waiting is not nothing. Waiting shapes the inner man or woman so that when the big thing arrives, there is capacity to carry it rather than to be crushed by it. Third, opposition intensifies. When something big approaches, dark things rise up. Friends doubt, the world ridicules, internal fears roar, temptations allure. Every device of comfort tries to pull back. Opposition is a signal, not a coincidence. Opposition reveals boundaries being pushed. Struggle shows value. If everything remained easy, complacency would consume growth. That opposition is sign that the horizon is shifting towards something weighty. Courage must rise. Resolve must stand. Fourth, clarity comes on purpose. Not everything is obscure. A sudden conviction of calling. A firm understanding of what must be done. What must be forsaken. What mission lies ahead. That clarity is rarely comfortable. It demands decisions, sacrifices, bold moves. But clarity is the lamp lighting the path before the gift. Without clarity, gifts become burdens. Without clarity, blessings are misused or despised. Fifth, God begins to open doors. Some seen, some unseen. Opportunities arise that were unimagined. Connections with people happen that seem too timely. Resources emerge in unexpected places. But many doors remain shut, and the contrast becomes stark. But those doors that open, even if narrow or terrifying, that is sign. God is making entrance for something big. Do not dismiss those openings. Walk through them with courage. Sixth, testing of faith intensifies. Longings become sharper. Faith stretched beyond known boundaries. Trust in God, not in circumstances, not in feelings, becomes essential. Trials, difficulties, losses, all converge, but in the pressure, faith becomes visible. In the dark hours, trust in God's promises becomes the anchor. Testing is the proving ground for the largeness that is coming. Without tested faith, the gift cannot be sustained. Seventh, inner witness of peace amid chaos. When storms rage externally, inside there is a quietude, a calm assurance despite confusion. That peace is not from absence of trouble. That peace is from the presence of promise. That peace whispers, something larger than present pain is at work. That peace is not passive, it strengthens the heart, enables bold obedience, permits risk. Throughout all these signs, the vital thread is faithfulness, remaining faithful in small, in hidden places, faithful in prayer, in obedience, in holiness. That faithfulness primes for what is coming. Even in moments of failing, return. Even in moments of doubt, press on. Even in moments of wandering, seek first the righteousness that shapes character. One must beware of false signals. Sometimes popularity masquerades as purpose. Sometimes opportunity becomes idol. Sometimes internal hype becomes substitute for deeper work. Discernment is essential. Not every open door is from God. Not every promise is legitimate. Not every peace is from the promise. Test everything. Hold to that which endures. Sacrifice will always be required. What stands in the way of abiding in truth must be abandoned. False comforts, fear of loss, attachments to ease, all must be given up. God does not entrust the greatest gifts to those who love comfort more than purpose. Humility is essential. The bigger the blessing, the greater the need for lowliness. Pride corrupts blessing. Pride demands attention, glory, praise. But the gift that is big floods the soul with awe, with wonder, and that awareness reduces self and magnifies what is greater. Only that which bows low can stand under great things without cracking. Seek wisdom, not merely favor. Seek transformation, not merely elevation. When transformations happen, the gift doesn't break the character. Instead, the character breaks under weight, then rebuilds to bear weight. Expect cost. Nothing of eternal worth comes without price. Time, comfort, reputation, security, all may bend, yet cost is not loss when the reward is what lasts forever. Expect opposition, even betrayal. Some near will turn away, some support will vanish, because what is coming threatens darkness, because loyalties grounded in lesser things will not hold under pressure. But do not be surprised, be ready. Expect refining, pain, solitude, pressure. They purify, they burn away dross, they carve veins of gold, they expose weakness so strength can grow, they bring sorrow that births deeper joy. Expect joy even in trial. Expect glimpses of delight, expect moments when laughter rises despite tears, expect gratitude to rise from ashes, because what is coming is not only big, it is beautiful. Expect hope to anchor the soul. When vision looms but reality still seems distant, hope supplies wings. Hope whispers, the weight is not wasted. Hope calls to walk on, though footing uneven, though sight limited, because hope is the bridge between what is now and what is promised. Trust in faithfulness despite failure. Failures will come, doubts will come, but faithfulness returns. God remembers, God holds. God rewards not what is perfect, but what is persevering. Let obedience become the habit. Do not wait for full understanding before stepping. Where commands are clear, obey. Where light shines, move forward. Where conviction burns, act. Obedience unlocks doors that understanding cannot open. Be attentive to whispers. Inner convictions, small urgings, burdens for certain people or causes. These are breadcrumbs. These are preludes. These are harbingers of the larger thing. Ignore not those whispers. Be patient for timing. Though open doors appear, that gift must come in God's sovereignty. Timing matters. Delay often is not denial. Delay often is protection. Delay often is positioning. Prepare for responsibility. A big gift often carries great stewardship. It is not just for benefit, there is burden. It is not just for blessing, there is duty. One must prepare heart, mind, soul, resources to carry what is coming. Forsake compromise. What was once tolerated must be abandoned. What was once passed by must now be confronted. Holiness precedes miracle. Integrity precedes increase. Embrace suffering if necessary. Suffering shapes. Suffering refines. Even suffering informs the shape of what is yet to be given. Even suffering becomes the soil in which seed of great blessing grows. Cling to the word delivered in the past, that word, that promise, that calling. Hold to memory. Recall the time when faith first took root. Recall the assurances once heard. Recall the victories once gained. That inheritance is fuel for the way forward. Cultivate worship, not only in good times, but in valleys. Worship moves the heart from self to what is greater. Worship aligns soul with reality. Worship births hope. Bear witness to others. The faith journey never walks isolated. The struggle, the test, the open door. Share with kindred spirits. There is strength in fellowship. There is clarity in shared burden. There is confirmation in shared testimony. Pray unceasingly. Prayer is not merely petition. It is communion, submission, alignment. Prayer keeps the heart open. Prayer tunes the soul to the frequency of the promise. Prayer girds for battle. Walk in repentance. Where there is hidden sin, where there is compromise, where there is pride, all must be confessed. The gift coming will expose shadows. Let exposure come first by confession. Stay steadfast. When storms come, when opposition waxes, when discouragement knocks, do not retreat. Endurance is what carries across threshold of the great gift. Saints are not those who never suffer, but those who refuse to surrender. Keep eyes fixed not on the size of current trouble, but on the greatness of the promise. Troubles are temporary, promise is eternal. The larger thing to come will outshine present moment. Allow justice to work its course. God's justice springs from mercy, but justice never fails. Where injustice reigns, trust that there is recompense. Big gift often comes with vindication, restoration. Do not chase recognition. Chasing applause dims the glory. A gift that matters most works in hidden places first. A gift that matters most shouts, not aloud for human praise, but echoes eternal worth. Love deeper when love expands. Love for truth, love for neighbor, love for what is right. There is preparation. That love will bear the weight of the coming gift. Let faith rise like a banner. Let faith speak in confession. Let faith act even when sight missing. Let faith believe what lies beyond present sense. When all those signs converge, dissatisfaction with comfort, long waiting, opposition, clarity, open doors, testing of faith, inner peace amid chaos, trust that something big is near. Do not presume, do not lean on presumption, do not declare too early, but do not disbelieve either. Walk in readiness, walk in humility, walk in purity, walk in sacrifice, remain vigilant, remain teachable. Do not harden heart, do not polish pride, let tender places remain sensitive, let conscience remain soft. God often prepares you for something big through discomfort, waiting, opposition, and testing, not as punishment, but as necessary refinement to strengthen your character, deepen your faith, and position you to carry the weight of what's coming. The clearest signs that something big is near are not external success or ease, but internal transformation, increased clarity, obedience, humility, peace amid chaos, and a growing hunger for holiness and purpose over comfort. God often prepares you for something big through discomfort, waiting, opposition, and testing. This is no abstract spiritual cliché. It is the way powerful transformation is forged. When one stands on the cusp of what God is about to do, normal life seems too simple. The everyday becomes unsatisfying. A heaviness of expectation settles inside. What appears comfortable begins to feel like a trap. That discomfort, God stirring the soil of the heart so that deeper roots may grow. Discomfort comes in many forms. It might come as loss of job, loss of relationship, loss of reputation. It might come as limitation, doors closed, resources withheld, access denied. It might come as internal turmoil, restless thoughts, a longing for something beyond the visible, an ache that nothing currently in hand can fill. That ache is not failure, that ache is preparation. God allows the familiar to no longer satisfy so that longing may rise. Longing sharpens vision. Longing forces dependency. Where comfort reigns, dependency fades. Where dependency fades, maturity halts. Discomfort drives dependency. Discomfort forces the soul to look upward. In discomfort, pride is exposed. When all is going well, pride may dress itself invisibly, wrapped in praise and success. But discomfort tears the mask away. The heart that trusted in strength must now learn about weakness. The one who leaned on abilities discovers inability. The one who trusted in wealth or connections discovers poverty or isolation. The one who trusted in influence learns what it means to be unseen. Discomfort humbles. Discomfort shapes, and that shaping readies the soul for greatness. Greatness not for exaltation, but for responsibility, faithfulness, endurance. Then waiting. Waiting is an echo chamber in the inner life. Every promise once felt starts to reverberate. Every word once heard returns. Waiting is not absence of motion. Waiting is tension. Waiting stretches the spiritual muscles. Waiting educates patience. Waiting builds an endurance that cannot be stirred in comfort. In seasons of waiting, belief becomes practice. Faith becomes discipline. Hope becomes something alive, not theoretical. Many walk away when delay endures. Many give in to doubt or resort to shortcuts. But those who remain in waiting, those who refuse to compromise during delay, those who trust that the delay has purpose, those are the ones who will be able to sustain the greatness about to arrive. Opposition often begins to sharpen just when waiting seems endless. Opposition without waiting, that is merely trial. But opposition layered on delay, on discomfort, that is refining fire. Adversaries rise. Criticism surfaces. Confusion clouds. Temptation beckons. The comfortable whispers of the world call. But opposition never emerges without meaning. Opposition tests resolve. Opposition reveals where trust is real, where allegiance is true. The opposition one faces during preparation will link intimately to the gift about to be received. If the gift is public influence, expect critics. If the gift is leadership or responsibility, expect betrayal. If the gift is deep communion or clarity, expect chaos and distraction. The nature of the opposition often so closely mirrors the nature of the blessing that one might believe the blessing has already come if only the opposition did not wound so deeply. Testing of heart and faith becomes central, not just asking for evidence, not simply rational confirmation. Testing that cuts to the core. Is there love when there is pain? Is there trust when there is confusion? Is there worship when there is not yet visible fruit? Testing is not to discourage, but to purify. Testing reveals what is settling in the soil of the Spirit. Testing confirms or rejects what once was superficial. Testing magnifies what was hidden. Testing reveals whether belief is anchored in convictions or merely in outward trappings. Testing forces choosing. When testing comes, many retreat into what is known. But those who refuse to yield to fear or frustration, who stay faithful to the small callings even when larger doors close, their faith becomes real. Their faith becomes weight-bearing. In that season, things that seem trivial become supremely important. Prayer becomes less part-time. Purity becomes more than theory. Obedience becomes more costly but more central. Integrity no longer optional. Sacrifice is no longer a word in a sermon, but a daily reality. Simple whispered confession in hidden sin, honest admission of weakness, turning from compromise. Such things become non-negotiable, because the thing about God's giving something big is, That gift cannot abide where compromise has its roots. No mountain of blessing can stand on a foundation of hidden sin or divided heart. The preparation thunders in silence. God's voice seems distant. The natural senses see no movement. But inside, a conviction grows that something promised is true, that even if delay persists, that promise is trustworthy, not because of feelings, not because of external signs alone, but because of the integrity of the one who promised. The ground beneath shifts invisibly, the roots of destiny take hold, the soul is being aligned, discomfort continues to press. In one moment, comfort smacks of emptiness. The next moment, desperation crawls in. The world's answers sound hollow, the distractions lose appeal, the heart increasingly rejects what is lesser, the heart increasingly reaches upward, forward, the longing becomes fierce, eyes fix beyond the current horizon. Waiting stretches seasons into years, the promise seems delayed, temptation whispers, forget the promise, settle for what is present, choose ease over perseverance. But choosing perseverance in waiting deepens faith. It burns off any semblance of self-reliance. It strips away every idol. It enlarges capacity to receive. Medicine for the spirit, though bitter for the flesh. Opposition may also arrive in betrayal. Friends turned away. Support vanishing. Doors that once seemed open now slammed. Pressure mounts from all directions. Darkness from without and darkness from within. Fear mingles with guilt, regret, longing. Yet when one remains unmoved in such storms, something inside hardens, not in pride, but in resolve. The heart learns its limits. The heart discovers where trust actually lies. The heart learns that even if everything falls away, what remains will suffice. Testing comes in unexpected ways. Dreams seem empty. Efforts seem wasted. Confessions seem unanswered. Sacrifices seem unnoticed. Loneliness becomes companion. Yet faith learns to sing in the dark. Faith learns to praise when no voice responds. Faith learns that value is not measured by applause, but by cost. The testing hammers out the dross. The testing forges something rare, a faith undeterred by sight. Growth in character becomes evident to some degree. Qualities such as gentleness amidst frustration, patience amidst insult, joy amidst loss. These do not happen overnight. These are grown in the soil of hardship, the way a tree that is buffeted by wind grows deeper roots, deeper anchoring. One who once would have snapped under pressure now bends. One who once would have acted in fear now walks in quiet confidence. One who once would have compromised now stands, even if alone. All the while, clarity emerges, not full vision, not complete mapping of every step, but clarity of purpose, clarity of holiness, clarity of what must be left behind, clarity of what matters most. That clarity may come through conviction burning in prayer, that clarity may come through the word delivered long ago, but now ringing with renewed urgency. That clarity may come through pain and loss, through witnessing how what seemed essential was not. Clarity disciplines the heart. Clarity orients the soul. And yes, when discomfort, waiting, opposition, testing coalesce, peace arises in the interior. Peace amidst the storms. Not a peace of escape, not a peace because of absence of threat, but a peace born of trust in what was promised, a peace that whispers, "This is for more," a peace that anchors when the winds howl. In the quiet middle of chaos, when nothing seems sure except the inner conviction that something promised is real, that peace becomes a fortress. Do not despise small beginnings. While waiting, the moments that seem trivial are not trivial. Obedience in little things, faithfulness in unseen service, love for neighbor when no one notices, purity in secret places. The small obedience trains for the larger. The small sacrifices build bones strong enough to carry weight. The small acts of faith calibrate the heart's compass. When discomfort comes, embrace it. When weeks or months or years of waiting persist, endure. When opposition surges, stand. When testing pierces, respond with faith. Do not shrink back. Do not barter integrity for peace. Do not surrender hope for comfort, for what is being prepared for is weighty beyond present understanding. What is being built will require all that is being forged now. Faith refined, character shaped, trust established, purpose clarified, love deepened. In those seasons, one discovers what is truly treasured. Often, what was once valued recognition, ease, affirmation, certainty, loses its grip. What remains becomes love for truth, joy in obedience, longing for righteousness, willingness to suffer for what lasts beyond a lifetime. What once was optional becomes essential. What once was tolerated becomes abhorrent. Faith becomes not a posture, but a way of life, not something carried only where visible support exists, but something lived when no one else sees. Worship becomes not only melody and praise, but surrendered life. Not only words, but choice to obey, to remain, to believe even when heart trembles. And so, God often prepares greatness not by shaping what one wants, but by stripping what one clings to. Not by bestowing what one dreams, but by strengthening what must endure. Not by bringing immediate acclaim, but by cultivating enduring devotion. Not by easy paths, but by paths that refine, test, stretch, to make what is coming capable of being held, borne, stewarded. What it means when the clearest signs that something big is near are not external success or ease, but internal transformation. What that looks like, what it costs, how it changes everything inside before anything outside shifts. These inner movements are more subtle than applause or accolades, yet far more powerful. You begin to see that many things which once drove you ambition, approval, comfort, no longer satisfy. What you once chased for recognition doesn't pull at your heart the same way. You sense a divestment from external things, praise, position, comfort. These lose their fascination because your soul is waking up to what really matters. The external rewards are like shells on a beach, pretty on the surface, but hollow inside. You sense that hollow when you taste them without satisfaction. That discontent is part of the transformation. You grow in awareness of patterns of mind and heart, where once your responses were automatic anger, fear, self-protection. They now become visible. You catch yourself before you react. You see where pride whispers its lies. You notice where envy creeps in. You feel the pull of dishonesty or compromise, and the unrest that comes when the heart leans toward compromise. You begin to reject what you once accepted. You begin to choose what aligns, even when alignment costs loss. Compassion deepens, not because of outer stories alone, but because inner suffering becomes more real. Maybe you've been hurt, perhaps you've grieved. Maybe you've watched injustice up close. These wounds, once buried or dismissed, surface, and what flickers in your spirit is not bitterness, but empathy. You find tears where there were once walls, where the world was once someone else's mess, now it is personal. You cannot look away without feeling. You cannot see another's pain and remain unmoved. That is internal transformation at work. Often, there is a season of loss or letting go of relationships that no longer feed your soul, letting go of dreams that were built on expectation rather than truth, letting go of pride, even ambition, when you see they were anchored in self rather than purpose. Letting go of comfort in favor of growth. These losses sting, they confuse, they unsettle, but they carve out space, room for what was promised, room for what is true, room for capacity to receive more. Your values shift. What you once regarded as urgent becomes less. What seemed essential before now seems superficial. You find yourself caring more about faithfulness than favor. about obedience than recognition, about integrity than success, about the condition of your heart more than the applause of crowds. You would rather walk in truth alone than walk in popularity with compromise. Prayer, or whatever your deepest communion, becomes less a ritual, more necessity. Silence becomes not empty, but full. Solitude becomes not lonely, but rich. In those quiet moments, you hear whispers of what matters. You sense convictions growing in darkness, unseen by others, but known deeply. You find that in the secret place of your soul, things are being born you cannot yet share, but they are becoming real. Your mind begins to see differently. Beliefs you once held without question are now unsettled. You question not only what is around you, but what is within you. You wrestle with how you were taught, how you have lived, how you have believed. You search for truth not for comfort, but for reality. Old fears, hidden motives, unexamined assumptions, these become exposed in light. You find yourself more honest, not pretending. You begin to speak truth even when it hurts. Joy comes differently. It is no longer tied to circumstances, but visits even in the barren place. Even when nothing seems to go right outside, there are moments of rest in the inner being. Moments of gratitude flicker. Moments of laughter come unexpectedly, even amid tears. The soul knows its hope is not dependent on what's visible, that joy anchors you. Peace becomes more persistent. When storms rage without, the loss, the betrayal, the failure, the inner being holds something steadier. The spirit begins to rest in a promise, in a reality unseen but known. Peace that is not timidity, peace in tension, peace in obedience, peace that emerges not from ease but from trust. Destiny begins to loom. Not always clearly, but in longing. You sense there is a purpose far greater than the version you had sketched in youth. You feel drawn toward something beyond achievement, toward meaning, toward legacy, toward what endures. You imagine serving, not being served. You see contribution, not consumption. Capital sin or weakness becomes intolerable. Things you once were content to live with now oppress you. Secrets, hypocrisies, compromise. These become burdens. You cannot ignore them. You cannot treat them lightly. The internal transformation demands holiness, demands alignment, demands a heart without divided loyalties. Faith becomes not a word, but a muscle that is used. You act when understanding is incomplete. You move when the door only half opens. You trust in promises though they seem distant. You choose obedience in small things, knowing that the power of the gift about to come is measured by your faithfulness now. You endure, you maintain under trial. When difficulty comes, you do not fall apart. When delay comes, you do not despair. When sacrifice is needed, you give. When the cost is high, you reckon with cost, but still press forward. Because the internal transformation is not about avoiding pain. It is about being shaped through pain so that you can bear more without breaking. Humility blooms. You see yourself more clearly, the strengths and the flaws, the gifts and the limitations. You are less proud of what you can do and more aware of how much you depend. You are less eager for praise, more eager for truth. You listen more, you serve more. You care less about what people think, more about what is right. Gratitude deepens, not only for blessings, but even for the hard seasons. You give thanks for the fire, because without it impurities remain. You thank for loss, because without loss, the soul might never be stretched. You thank for discipline, for correction, for the refining. The inner witness of conviction becomes louder than the voice of comfort. You realize better that what is easy is often a snare. What is familiar can become a prison. What is applauded by many can lead you far from what is true. So you choose the path that trembles, the path that costs, because you have come to trust that the worth of what lies ahead is greater. As this internal transformation proceeds, your external world does shift, but only as the inner world shifts first. The true measure is not what others see, but what you are becoming, what is being formed in the hidden places. What rises in your heart? What faith defines you when all else seems to fail? What integrity anchors you when no one watches? What obedience holds when comfort whispers retreat? And in all this, there comes readiness, not because you suddenly have everything, but because something inside has been changed enough to receive something larger, something unexpected, something that will not be measured by position or wealth or acclaim, but by eternal significance.